Today, I want to talk about the topic of when your spell doesn't work. When your spell doesn't work. And this is what we do when our spells don't work. Because it would be nice to think that every spell that you perform is going to be successful. And that's kind of the attitude we go in with. And we always want to increase our success rate. But there is no witch on the face of the planet who's had every single spell that they've ever cast work. And especially if you're somewhat of a beginner or new at this, you are going to not have everything work out the way you want it to right away. And that's the case with any kind of skill. Now, if say you wanted to learn how to play the piano, the classical piano, you'd go in and you would be doing scales and beginning kind of exercises, and you'd be doing some beginning, pieces of music that weren't too hard, and your teacher would have you on a progressive program, getting better and better and better, right? And you'd be making tons and tons of mistakes, and you would suck in a lot of ways. And it was through that sucking that you'd get better and better and better. So, the same thing goes for us. And now, like with a witch's primer, it's an 18-week course where you're going through things slowly, building up your power, and it's a lot of work. But it is just very similar. It's a progressive program, and any kind of training in magic should be like that. Whether it's a witch's primer or something else, it should be where it's taking you from the beginning and getting you stronger and stronger and stronger. In the midst of all that, you're going to make all kinds of mistakes, and you're going to have all kinds of failures. So we're going to look at what happens when we fail. Okay, so the first thing, when your spell doesn't work, the first thing to look at is, where was that spell in your sphere of influence? So you have to look at that, and the spells that don't work are important because we want to troubleshoot them, because that's how we get better. So the first thing we want to look at is, where was this in our sphere of influence? Oftentimes, especially beginners, try for things that are well beyond their reach. And to go back to the piano analogy, no piano teacher would give a first-year piano student Chopin nocturnes to play. Rarely, unless there's some sort of real gifted prodigy, or Beethoven fugues. Maybe some early inventions, but no Beethoven fugues the first year. That would be way too difficult for people, or any Rachmaninoff, pretty much, right? So, and if you took it upon yourself to do those things, and you got really frustrated, and you didn't have the skills and all of that, in piano terms, those things that you're trying for would be out of your sphere of influence. Not necessarily forever, but at this time, they are beyond your skill level. They are outside of your sphere of influence. So very oftentimes when your spells don't work, it's because you're trying for something that is outside of your sphere of influence. And we talk about sphere of influence quite a lot, and I've got videos on it. I talk about it a lot because it's so important to understand where you are in regards to magic, what you are able to influence, and what is outside of your reach. Okay. So that's the first thing. Did you try for something that was a little too big? And that's easy to troubleshoot, isn't it? You break it down into smaller chunks, and you go for a smaller piece of your goal. You may have to break it really far down. You may have to break it down into, a gajillion little chunks, and then just try for one little piece. Okay. The next thing that you might want to ask yourself is, was I doing a spell to influence someone else? Was I doing a spell that was trying to influence someone else? Okay. Now, I am not one of those people to say you can never do a spell to influence another person. Rarely do I recommend it, but all things being equal, sometimes you have to. But when you are doing magic to influence another person, even if they're not magically oriented, they will put up resistance. nobody likes to be influenced unduly. Nobody likes it. And everybody has God-given, goddess-given protections to protect from things like this. Now, a lot of times we do things to influence other people thinking we're trying to help them, thinking that we're trying to help them. And it doesn't matter. Imagine what it would feel like for you if you were, sitting around minding your own business. Yeah, maybe you had some trouble somewhere. Maybe you got into trouble, and somebody decided that they were going to fix it for you, and then now you are going to be out of trouble. Let's give an example. Let's say that you I don't know. Let's say that you got into some financial trouble, and you owed a lot of money. Maybe you owed a lot of, back taxes or something like that. And somebody decided to do a spell without your permission to help you with that. That would be nice. But you know how that registers to your subconscious mind? Attack. And so then your subconscious mind puts up protection and defense and resistance, because the subconscious mind doesn't say, oh, well, that's a nice kind of attack. That's a very sweet kind of attack. It's still seen as an attack because you didn't ask for help. You didn't give your permission for help. You didn't want the help. It was placed on you. It was done for you. Okay, so be careful of that. A lot of times your spells won't work if they involve other people. So for the most part, especially if you're a beginner, focus your spells on yourself. Now, sometimes we try to do spells for other people, that are close to us, that they can't help themselves. They can't help themselves, and we are trying to do spells for them. Even with them, sometimes it's not going to work, because no matter how much you love them, and no matter how victimized they appear to be, you have no idea what their soul came in here to do. For instance, I had something go on with somebody a long time ago. Well, not that long ago, but I had something go on with somebody a while back that was very obviously some sort of karmic, I don't know if it was I don't know if we'd call it a debt, but there was something that needed to be completed. And for whatever reason, it nothing to do with anything that happened in this life, but we came together. There was definitely some stuff that needed to be taken care of. And then when it was over, we separated. It was over. It was done. Right? So nobody could have done any spells to fix what had to happen. Nobody could have, no matter how powerful they were, because those things needed to be taken care of. That was part of a little blip of what I came in here to do in this life, was to clear up stuff with this person. And even though it was hard and it looked like I was going through hell, I had to go through that because I chose to go through that. I needed to go through that. I actually, on a soul level, wanted to go through that. I set it up to go through that. So anybody that tried to cast spells on my behalf, even with my permission, which nobody did, I didn't do that, but just if they had, would have failed, because that needed to happen. So that's true sometimes for our loved ones. It's true sometimes for our loved ones. They have to go through whatever they have to go through, and we are there, on their side. We're there to support them. We're there to help them whenever we can. But if we are trying to do spells to take those troubles away from them, as wonderful of a goal as that is, they may fail because they need to, for whatever reason beyond our understanding, have to go through certain circumstances. And so we can't do anything about that. So that's another reason why your spells may fail. Okay, another reason why your spells may fail is because you have some karmic issues. So let's say that you came in this life and you knew you had to complete something with a person, like I was talking about. You knew you had some stuff to complete with that person. No matter how many spells you do to try to avoid confrontation with that person, it probably won't happen. But what you could do is spells to make it easy, to make it gentle, to make it joyous, to make it happy. You know what I mean? You can do spells to maybe not avoid the confrontation, but you can do spells to make the confrontation easy and pleasurable and gentle, right? You can do that. But a lot of times if you're trying to do spells to avoid certain lessons that you came into this world you chose, your soul came into this world to learn or to accomplish, no matter how many spells you do, you're not going to be able to uproot your soul's trajectory, because your soul is more powerful than your ego. Your soul is more powerful than your personality. So that's another thing that you might want to look at am I trying to circumvent certain occurrences in my life, certain lessons in my life that I need to learn. And maybe I could approach it in a different way rather than trying to avoid this, that I could find a way to learn this in an easy, gentle way, that kind of thing. Okay? Now, so we have to also understand that there's a difference between magic and miracles, or what we would call low magic and high magic is really what we would say that, or thaumaturgy and theurgy. So on one hand, when we work spells within our sphere of influence, we are slowly trying to expand that sphere of influence. And so in order to do those kinds of magics, we have to be very clear on our goals, our desires, what we want, what we don't want. We have lists that we recommend, getting clear on all of those things so that we can plug our spells into our goals and into where we are in our sphere of influence, so that we can start to succeed in certain areas and expand our sphere of influence over time. But there are some things that happen that are outside of our sphere of influence that we won't be able to cast spells for. But there are still magical operations that we can do. And this is the difference between the types of magic. So we might call this a high magic operation, and that's where you're working with angels and things like that, where you are actually asking for deliverance from situations that are outside of your sphere of influence, that there's no way that you could have any influence over this. This is too big for you. You can still do magic on it. And that's where we have the psalm magic is really great for that. Angel magic is really great for that, where you are putting yourself into the hands of a higher power to do for you what you cannot do for yourself. Okay, so that magic, all that magic is on that sixth sphere of the tree of life, where you are actually relinquishing all power around this situation over to a higher power to do it for you. But you have to realize when you do that, you will succeed, but it may not look anything like what you think it should look like. And there's nothing you can do about that because it's outside of your sphere of influence. So it's important to realize that when you are petitioning, if you will, I hate that word, but it works because we use it a lot. So we'll say that when you're petitioning a higher power for help in a specific situation, to help you in areas that are beyond your control, in ways that you can't help yourself, that you have to be willing to know that power has your best good in mind, that it wants only the best for you, and that it understands what's good for you better than you do. And that you're willing to have things be healed in whatever way that higher power decides is necessary for you. And that you don't really have a say. That you don't really have a say in how it's going to happen. And that's a good thing. Because you would, basically, let's use our piano analogy. Instead of you learning how to play this nocturne before you're ready, you are going to ask for this nocturne to be played on your behalf, right? So this is like, so it's a stand-in for you. So let's say you were having a concert and you had all these great these great pieces that you wanted to play, but you knew you needed that Chopin nocturne. You were nowhere near ready to do it. So what you had was a guest artist to come in and take care of that, do for you what you couldn't do for yourself. It's a kind of a clunky analogy, but we're using it anyway. All right, so that's what's happening with those kinds of spells, is that they are beyond your control. They are beyond what you can do, but we know that a master is coming in to take care of it for you, and very willingly. Okay, so that is the other time that you are going to have problems, is if you're trying to accomplish something that's outside of your sphere of influence and then telling the higher power how it's supposed to go, what it's supposed to look like. You're not going to be very happy with those results either. Okay, so sometimes when we work magic, things don't work out the way we want them to. But you have to understand that that's not the end of the story. That's not the end of the story. You're not supposed to just go, oh, well, like what did they say in church sometimes? Oh, God always answers prayers, but sometimes the answer is no. Well, that's not us. We don't say that. In fact, what we say is don't take no for an answer. If your spell didn't work out, it doesn't mean that you just have to deal with it. It means, that it's like deal with not having success. It means that we have to look at it from a different point of view. We have to look at it from a different way. Maybe we have to break it down into smaller chunks. Maybe we have to petition a higher power. Maybe we have to relinquish our ideas about what it's supposed to look like before it manifests. But one thing is for sure, we're not taking no for an answer from the universe. That is not going to happen, because the universe never says no. The universe never says no. The universe says, you don't have this right. The universe says you're not understanding what this is supposed to look like. We want you to have this, but your idea of what this is completely off the mark. Let us show you. Okay? So whether it's something that you're working for, magic, spell work within your sphere of influence that didn't work, and all you need to do is break it down into smaller chunks, well, you can go ahead and do that and get busy. Get busy in doing that. Maybe if you're trying to influence somebody else because you want to help them, well, maybe we find another way to approach that's not thwarting their free will, and we find another way to support them. Maybe if this thing is so far out of your sphere of influence and you don't have time to break it down into smaller chunks because it's like an emergency, well, then maybe it's time to work on angelic magic or psalmic magic in such a way where you totally take your hands off of this situation 100% and give it over to that higher power to do it for you on your behalf. Right? So there's always a way to troubleshoot what you're doing. Now, a lot of times when your spell doesn't work, it's not outside of your sphere of influence. It's not that you're doing any of those things that we've discussed. It's just that your technique wasn't there. You didn't study enough. You didn't know what you were doing. You didn't visualize. You didn't affirm. You didn't have any kind of incantation. You didn't have any visualization. You had no sense of relaxation or grounding or centering. You had no purification beforehand. You didn't do it right. And that's all it is that you decided, well, I'm going to say some magic words or whatever that I got out of a book, and that I expect it just to happen for me. And you didn't study. You didn't build. You didn't do it right. That is probably more common than any other reason, is that you just didn't do it right. So then you got to either go back to square one and figure it out, or find a teacher, find a mentor, find somebody that does have a decent success record in magic, that they can help you and they can show you what you're doing wrong. Now, when we say you didn't do it right, it's not usually that you used the wrong herb or that you used the wrong incense or something like that. There are people that will tell you that, and I'm not one of them, because you can get around all of that, all of the trappings. You don't even need trappings. When I say you didn't do it right, it probably means that your mindset was wrong, that your technique of casting was either lacking or non-existent. Because a lot of times when people get spells from the internet or from books or something, they get all these ingredients and incantations and things that they're supposed to do, but they don't understand that in order to actually make it work, they have to have a mindset. They have to have those things don't do much on their own if you don't know how to make them have effectiveness. And that's why we spend so much time in our Witch's Primer training you for the power bodies. So those 4 sides of the Witch's Pyramid, so that no matter what your spell looks like on the physical, that you got it handled on the astral, on the psychic, on the mental planes. Make sense? So if your spell doesn't work, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to give it up. It means that you're supposed to troubleshoot it. So let's recap. Let's start with, you either just didn't do it right, or you were trying to do something that was outside of your sphere of influence. You were trying to do something that influenced somebody else that wasn't appropriate, and they put up resistance. You were trying to do something that was too big for you, and not being willing to do what's necessary on a high magic point of view, where that is to give it to the higher power and then take your hands off of it and allow it to manifest according to the forms in which that higher power decides. Or you're trying to circumvent your own karma and not learn the lessons that you came in here to learn. You're trying to circumvent your own soul's will. Okay? So those are the basic ways and reasons, I should say, why spells don't work. And when your spell doesn't work, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. It means that you've got more work to do. All right? So this has been great. I'm so happy to spend time with you, and I can't wait to spend time with you again. And until that time, blessed be.